November 12th, regular special board meeting, call to order. Yes, board meeting, Tuesday. Roll call, please.
Trustee Williams?
Here.
Trustee Oscar Brown?
He's running late, Madam Clerk.
Trustee Pate?
Here.
Trustee Griffin?
Present.
Trustee Rudas?
Here.
Trustee Larry Brown?
Here.
Mayor Covington?
Present. Would you please join me in the pledge of allegiance? Thank you. Pledge of allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The minutes,
So moved.
Second.
I'm looking for the minutes. I'm looking for the minutes. Replacement clerk? Ms. Sylvia?
Unfortunately, Madam Mayor, I don't see the minutes. I'm asking for a motion to table them.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
We don't
I'd
have.
like to make the motion to table the minutes.
I think we did.
Okay, second.
Deputy Clerk, and fills in for these right here.
All in favor? Roll call.
Two clerks.
Trustee Williams? Aye. Trustee Oscar Brown? Trustee Pate?
Aye.
Trustee Griffin?
Votes aye.
Trustee Rudas?
Votes aye.
Trustee Larry Brown?
Aye.
Mayor Covington?
Aye. Board back to elected officials. I got, two things. I went, last week to, Thornton High School in Harvey, Illinois, where, Napoleon Harris, had a, bill up that was given an explanation. Him, our rep, DeLuca, and I forgot the other rep. Oh, and Representative Al Riley is Senate Bill 16. What they're trying to do with Senate Bill 16 is to have an equalized payout or equalized distribution of funds throughout the whole state of Illinois. Instead of using the tax on the home as the goal that they have now, they're thinking about changing that. So I was in on that, and they're still working on that. It's going to be about another 6 months before they come to a conclusion on that, but they are working on Senate Bill 16. Also, I want to request, I got something from the National League of Cities. I'm sorry, the IML, which kind of concerns me, is House Bill 5485. If this bill passes, what it does is that this means that the arbitrator and not elected officials would ultimately be able to dictate how many firefighters are employed by the fire department. Springfield has a habit of dumping stuff on communities and leaving us to pick up the pieces. So I would urge everyone to call your state senators and tell them to vote against House Bill 5484. It's a mandate for minimum staffing, and what it do, it will ultimately raise the price of your taxes, having that, because it will dictate that we have to hire more firefighters. So that's my comment.
Yes, I have testing. Yes, I have a brief report, Mayor. As you guys will look on our agenda for later on today under new business, we have a first, second, and third reading ordinance regarding a lease between the Village of University Park in the Austin People's Action Center for Town Center, Unit Number 6. What that is what we've been asking for a long time, and I'd like to thank our Senator, Toy Hutchinson, for bringing this program to our community. Toy Hutchinson realizes the need and the opportunity for job training and employment opportunities in Will County. So she found a person in Austin had a grant, in the Austin community had a grant, and she needed a location in Will County. And thanks to our Senator Toy Hutchinson, she looked at University Park and thought that we were the ideal fit as we're trying to pursue our job training facilities and other opportunities. So she gave us the opportunity to host this Austin group, and we're really looking forward to them. I'd like to compliment the Public Works Department and Manager Lanier for really working hard and moving that project along and getting Town Center number 6 ready for opportunities for free construction job training. As you guys might have seen prior, there's a lot of talk on, I do an annual television show, and I always talk about OAI training and job construction training. Well, now it's right in our backyard. So again, thanks to our Senator Toy Hutchinson as we move forward.
Yeah, Mayor, Trustee Larry Brown and I have been working together, working with Thornwood House to try to resolve some of the issues that are going on there. I don't want to talk about it publicly too much, but I just, again, want to let the residents at Thornwood House know that their tenants association has been working very hard to try to get things resolved over there so that their quality of life and the environment there will be a lot better. Russell also asked me to let folks know that his particular issue, which I won't mention publicly, but his particular issue, he is so glad that the tenant association took the position that they did, and he hopes to have that resolved also.
Trustee, Mr. Payton, Trustee Payton, have you guys worked with Chief Bradley and coordinated something with the police department?
Well, if you will recall, Trustee Rudez, a number of months ago, we reported that there were drug sales and going on over in Thornwood House. And the chief was good enough to attend at least one of the public safety committee meetings. And he also shared with us that he had not received the kind of cooperation that he would have expected for the, the issues that had been brought up by the tenants. He also indicated, at that time, as I asked about, drug dogs going over there. If you recall, he said that he didn't have the budget for it, and in the budget meeting that we were supposed to have on a quarterly basis to tweak the budget, that never occurred. I followed up, I believe, here within the last month or so to see what the status was related to the police dogs. He said that he had checked with other communities, Will County, Cook County, and so forth, and they indicated that they did not want to be involved, which I really find to be, wrong on so many levels, if that is in fact the case. So, again, if we do have a situation where we need money for something as important as controlling some of the drug trade that's going on in a senior citizens building that is also for disabled individuals, then we need to tweak our budget and give some priority to address that issue. Now, he has not attended, I missed one meeting, but I don't believe that he's attended the last 3 or 4. Trustee Larry Brown can address that a little bit better than myself, because I was just participating because the whole issue with Thornwood House was brought to my attention by actually one of my clients who had been threatened over there, and there didn't seem to be the kind of proper response from the chief and the management of the building. And I personally called the chief on it and asked him to look into why this individual who threatened one of the senior citizens over there, why that hadn't been dealt with. Now, I subsequently followed up with her, and still nothing has really been done to that individual who threatened her.
Okay, well, trustee, I tell you what, if there's anything that we can do to help you with any legislation that will help the residents and the people in Thornwood House, we'll be there to support the best of public safety for any resident, and not just Thornwood House, but the whole community. So if you need our assistance or help with anything, please feel free to ask.
And
I appreciate that.
I just want to just add to what Trustee Payton is saying. Lately, we've not had as many incidences of the drug, the smoking, and the loitering, but we've had. It seems like we're having increased issues of physical and verbal assault. And I'm understanding. And I mean, basically, all we let these individuals know is, especially when it gets to the level of physical, you need to call the police. And well, we're under the impression that they have. Now, I understand that reports have been taken and action is pending. So, I mean, there is that conversation between the residents and the police department now. Where it goes, I guess the future will let us know. But we let these individuals know that if you have an issue, especially a physical assault, even verbal assault, you need to call the police. It's okay, you can tell I know they talked to the building manager about it, but that can only go so far. So when you document it, no one can come back and say, well, they never called the police. So we encourage these individuals, if you have an issue, call the police.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Manager's report.
No report, Mayor.
Okay. Mayor's report. Yes, sure.
Yeah, I've just got several things here. If you could comment on for me, Manager Lanier. First, I received a copy of a letter from the State Comptroller Judith Bar-Topinka regarding the 2011, 2000 to 2013 TIF reports, and I was wondering if you could share with us where things stand in relation to those reports.
Sure. The letter goes out State Controller's office to myself, the mayor, and all the elected officials. As you are aware, we were pretty late on all of our financial records reporting to the state of Illinois. The TIF reports are part of the audit report. This information is taken from an audit report. We have been in touch with the state, and our auditors have been in touch with the state, and they've assured us that they will give us adequate time. They're happy with the progress we're making, and with our continued communication with them. But as they share with us is that these letters go out on a routine basis as they review their system and see who's late. But the audits are moving along very well. We got the draft of the 2012 this morning, 2011 this morning. They'll be starting the 2012 immediately afterwards when they complete that report writing. They'll move out to the 23rd. And then as they move these things along, they'll extract the TIF information from these reports. So we do expect to be current by the first quarter of next year, first calendar quarter of next year. The state is aware of our arrangements, and we continue to communicate with them almost on a weekly basis, if not more.
Okay. So the letter that I received where they're threatening to bring in their own auditors within 10 days from the date of this letter, which is dated October the 15th, that is just a form letter. Is that what you're saying?
It's a form letter if you do not take any action or if you're not communicating with them. The letters go out to any municipality that's late with any reports. And so we're in constant communication with them, and they're aware of our status, and they're happy with our progress, and they've agreed to work with us.
Okay.
Let me piggyback on that one with you for a second, on that letter. I have my copy. We had this before, and what happened, our auditors had to send a letter of commitment of a time frame. But my thing was, with this as well, I got in a call but we should get a copy of the letter that you submitted. We'd like to see a copy for the board to let us know what you have committed. Can you do that to the board?
There is no letter, it's just a communication.
No. There was a letter before when we were out of compliance with the regular audits. And you sent something and they had a form that you had to complete. So I got a copy of it.
Okay.
So can we get a copy to the board to let them see that instead of him not being aware of it or the board not being aware, that you could let them know that we did submit something, giving them a time frame and a schedule of when we would have our due diligence completed.
You're correct, Mayor, and I do apologize. We can't share with you and the entire board the communications. We can CC on the communication between the auditors and the finance director, myself, and the state of Illinois.
Okay, I appreciate that. Second thing is, I have a concern here of a violation of the Open Meetings Act, because I was informed by a number of people who attended the last board meeting where we had this discussion about the compensation increase for the trustees here, Trustee Williams, Trustee Oscar Brown Jr., Trustee Griffin, and Trustee Rudez, who approved in 3 readings a 36% increase that they will get if they're reelected, in the spring. And I bring this up is because that whole discussion was missing from the broadcast of the board meeting, which you know has to be aired in its entirety if we're doing that. So I was wondering if you were, first of all, aware of that, and second of all, if you were aware of it, were you aware if there were any problems with the equipment related to that? Because in my opinion, it was an awfully important debate on whether or not, with all the financial problems that we have in this village, that the trustees should vote themselves in year 1 a 25% increase, with a 3% increase every year for the next 4 years, which compounded would make it over a 36% increase, which I, just categorically agree with Mayor Covington and Trustee Larry Brown that that's wrong and we shouldn't have done it, but it's been done. Particularly, it was done in 3 readings, which was even more disgusting in my mind, because it doesn't provide for the public to provide input as to the direction that this board should go in. So, were you aware of that open meetings violation?
I was not aware of any technical difficulty in airing the tape. I will certainly investigate it, and if the tape is not destroyed or if there's some issue with it, we'll certainly try and correct it and get it aired properly.
Ms. Christel, are you aware of that? Did you edit the last board meeting in any way, shape, or fashion?
I don't edit the meeting. Only thing I do is put music in a title page. I did not cut anything out of the meeting.
Okay.
But
Can you explain why only that portion of the meeting was missing?
I had the original footage, so.
Okay. Well, I would request, publicly here, that original footage be re-aired so the public of University Park can see it.
I'll take a look at it again. No problem.
Okay, I'd appreciate it. And the last thing, Manager Lanier, is that, and it was a pretty thick report. So the preliminary report on the golf course, and there's appeared to be quite a few major issues involved with the golf course, and I was wondering if you and the mayor had discussed how we're going to move forward with this, because we need to really, there were so many issues brought forth in there, we really need to address this as soon as possible.
As you said, Trustee, it was a pretty thick report. Mayor and I did discuss it briefly. I agreed to read it over the next couple of weeks. I have a trip to San Antonio. I told him I would read it on the plane. I asked the mayor if she would call a workshop sometime later, so after we all had adequate time to read it. I would think I wouldn't really expect anybody to read it in less than 2, maybe 4 weeks. which time I did discuss with the mayor is she will call a workshop so we can all discuss it openly and talk about what direction the board would like us to take as far as addressing these issues that were raised.
You might want to plan a trip to China, which is a lot longer to read. That report is literally that thick, so give you a little bit more time. Unless you're an Evelyn Wood Speedy.
What's your opinion of it?
It really confirms all of the things that I found and was hoping to address when I started working with the golf course on developing a strategic plan for them. I have not had a chance to go through everything thoroughly yet, but almost all the issues that I had identified are in there. They're much more professionally done than what I was trying to do. I was trying to, move the thing forward a little bit so that we could start making some money, as opposed to, the now probably another $2.5–3 million that we've lost on the golf course since that time. So, but I thought it was a good report. I'm glad we did contract with the company, so I appreciate you guys bringing that to the table. It's $12,000 that I think will be well spent. But it's only paper. And if we don't do and make the hard choices that need to be made, then it'll be a waste of time and money. So.
We won't waste time.
Have you finished your question?
Yes.
Trustee Williams?
Yeah, I want to know,
Can you?
I'd like to know, is it true that this board has not had a raise since 2009?
No.
I'm uncertain as to when the last time elected officials' compensation was increased, but I can certainly get back to you with that information.
It was April of 2006.
It was April of 2006.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
8 years.
Okay. Mr. Lanier, do we have anything as far as the lighting projects, as far as the lights? Have you got any more reports on those lights?
The street light reports, we do have our public works director here today. They are working diligently as far as restoring lights. I do intend to be with him on some couple of urgent ones that come to my attention just today. He may want to respond as far as his progress.
What group of lights are we talking about?
All the reports have been all through the village. I was just saying that just...
Okay, Sullivan has got an issue of lights that's being out. We're working to correct that problem. And the industrial area, the park, those lights are being corrected also. We had a number of underground breakage of wires, and we have like maybe about 85% of the lights in the industrial park on now. The lights in the residential area, we are dealing with those things as we get to them. We don't have a big electrical crew, but we are working it out.
Okay. Just because the winter time is coming, and they have the cost. And could we change, Mr. Lanier, the light switch? I know it's at a certain time for the park, because I know it comes on now. Daylight saving time has changed, so could we put that on that schedule timer?
For that park? Talking about Craig?
Yes, sir. No, it's on a timer for a certain time.
It's not on a timer.
Okay.
We manually turn it
on. Okay, well, please. We appreciate it. Okay, thank you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'd like to follow up on that old street light issue, particularly regarding Sullivan Lane, because we received a follow-up email from Ms. Bridget Franklin, and she indicated she went and actually took a look and counted up. There were about 6 lights that were out.
Actually, it's 5.
5, okay, on Sullivan Lane. Do you have any idea as to when, since she took the time to come to the board meeting to, let us know, and then she followed up with an email, do you have any idea as to when?
I can't give you an exact time we are working with them diligently to correct the problem. I can't put a date on it, but
In the next couple of weeks or a month or?
no, could be a little longer because we have the whole village that we are dealing with.
I will sit down with the director tomorrow and we'll strategize on it. Either if it's necessary for us to bring in a private contractor to help us get all of these lights on within the next few weeks. So we are taking them very serious, and they've been working very hard. So we'll sit down and talk about, remaining lights out and the best way to get them on. And say, even if it requires farming out some of the work to get it on. But we will work on it.
In my response to Bridget, one of the things that I would like to see us do is to somehow come up with a more systematic way of identifying when lights are out. So I don't know if that means coordination with the police department. When they see a light that's out, to let you guys know if there's a form or something that can be filled out. But we shouldn't have to wait until a residents come up and complain about something something like this that affects the safety. Us veterans out here like it dark, but the folks from the city, they're used to a lot of street lights. Not that Ms. Harris, frankly, is from the city, but I would like to see us have something a little bit more systematic, where we don't wait until a crisis occurs. And then,
I understand. Actually, I go out twice a month and write down my incidents out, and I try to get to them quickly as possible.
Madam Mayor, could I say something?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just to piggyback for a moment. Now, we have, Mr. Hunt is the electrician. I think he has one other person over there. And, he can defend himself, but I'm just saying, I think he's done an admirable job because the number of lights have been out, some for years. He's getting them on as fast as he can. He's doing the best he can. And the thing with Sullivan, which he's not saying, which he should say, when they put in those sidewalks and they dug up a lot of the sidewalks and put in the piping for the pipes for the streets, they broke a lot of lines. And they want us to pay. And I want Ms. Lanier and him, meaning Mr. Hunt, to get together. And whatever it cost us to seek that reimbursement from that company that Aqua has hired, because they broke a lot of those lines over there on Sullivan Lane. And I think he's done an admirable job in doing what he's doing.
Trustee, I don't have a problem with that, but I think the manager indicated that sometimes you need to use maybe some outside contractors to get some things done. So, while I appreciate Public Works doing all that they can do, they've got a lot of things on their plate, I'm sure. Sometimes there are occasions, when I was in the industry, it was the same kind of thing. We would bring in electrical contractors to take care of things that we couldn't get to in-house. And we had on-staff electricians.
Okay, trustee.
Yeah, but I do want to speak on a positive matter that I know that Public Works is doing a great job of removing all the dead ash trees in the community. That seems like that's a big problem in the community. So I guess with a limited workforce, I guess we just have to kind of go one step at a time because we want to get those ash trees up before the snow starts falling. They'll have more, accidents and ice up on the trees. So I'm with you on the street lights and the trees. So Mr. Hunt, Mr. Lanier, you guys get that stuff together and work it out. But I know I've seen a lot of X's on the trees. Does that mean that those trees are actually removed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Lanier, I know I talked about the disease trees, so I heard that there. And thank you, Mr. Hunt, for everything that you're doing. You're doing an outstanding job. Really appreciate you. But did you ever follow up about that grant that was about for the diseased trees?
We currently are working with our consultant, Mr. Townsend, and with our engineering firm, Robinson Engineering, and we're seeking out grants. We do know that there are grants available to replace trees, so we're looking to see whether the other surrounding communities are getting these grants to replace trees. So it's a project that we've been working on it for the last couple of weeks, and we feel pretty hopeful that we will be able to replace these trees.
Any others? Mayor's report. Last week I was honored to be with Police Chiefs of Richmond Park. They had a 227 safety walk through Rich East, Rich South, and Rich Central. We did discover some with the new superintendent. She's fabulous, very, very well knowledgeable, and the things that they're doing for safety for the kids is just outstanding. That report, I'm sure that we all put it, it's going to be on their website, so look forward to seeing that. Today there was a AAA, African American National Mayors Conference call today, which I am a member of. And the thing they're talking about, the issue that is really big right now, Mayor Kevin Johnson, Mayor Bell, they were stating that they're trying to put a U.S. Senator, Attorney General in place right now before the new, the new people come on board. So that's the way they refer to it today. As the new people come on board, a United States Senator, it's Leslie. They think she's a fabulous person. They're looking forward to that. I will not be attending the National League of Cities conference. So they're going to have a mayor session. So I've already registered to be logged in on the webinar, and they asked if we would be there. Also, that we discussed the online betting that a lot of congressmen are talking about, how it's taking money from revenues from the villages, from employment, and right now that's a debate. We talked about municipal bonds of American Coalition, and that's a big topic, which will be talked about at the National League of Cities. They gave me the whole agenda, so that I will be included on that. And a resolution we tried to do with Loretta Lynch, that's the new nominee that they're talking about for the United States Attorney. I had to give my report, and we're doing the task force on my brother's keeper. Also, the African American Women Mayors Committee, which I responded on. That was there. I was at the Transportation Committee meeting yesterday, and the one thing we did not pass, our committee was trying to do a resolution, 0414 is a resolution to support the Transit Future campaign and increase investment in public transit reality. That failed because it was giving nothing. Actually, there was a lot of debate on that. So we talked about that, and that did not go. I'm on top of our fundings. We still established the $225,000 for a High Lake project that's going to be on hold. I did get the approval of $4 million. They'll be coming to University Park, which will be in January. We're still on site for that. January 2015, exactly $4 million even. There were some other monies that we also did with Governor States, so because we moved it up in a different phase, that's still going to be awarded to the village, the University Park. Like Trustee Griffin said, Senate Bill 16, everyone should call their senators, which are state reps, which is Mr. Harris and Toy Hutchison. Those are senators. Please contact them on an SBL. It was also sent from them. It was sent to IBM. It was sent to all the mayors. I was proud the other day that we signed off with Governor State University. There was a great ceremony, and it looks like it's just going to be a wonderful relationship we have with Governor State. Dr. Mayman and I signed off an agreement that they would use that another sport for the college would be golf. Thanks to an outstanding job that Paul Blockham went into an agreement with. That was fantastic. Paul, we thank you over and over. A wonderful job. There was also kudos to Paul Blockham for an annual, would you explain exactly what that was that you guys had there?
We had our first annual microphone. Thank you. We had our first annual club open championship for both men and women. And I want to say it was 2 or 3 Saturdays ago, we had our luncheon for them. So between the club championship as well as the members and leaguers, we had an appreciation luncheon for them.
And it was highly admirable of you, and people called me and told me how nice it was. So I just want to give you kudos to that, Mr.
Thank you, Mayor.
As well. There's a new PACE program they're going to do. New routes is coming about. But the main thing that we discussed also was the fact of this public meeting. We had a Route 394 route for the first corridor was a public meeting yesterday with Southport Mayor Managers undertaking a new economic development vision for our Illinois routes. There was a big discussion about the motor fuel taxes. I know Mr. Hunt is being concerned about that. That money is just dwindling away, and we're trying to find a way that we can get that money back and increase it, because then we use that for a lot of fundings for our Public Works Department. Also, I talked to the lady that came here, Miss Cynthia Williams rather. She's the one that's bringing the IDOT project that we built out. And that's the one that someone asked me about, what do we do and what I do in Washington. I met her there in Washington. And she is bringing the Resource Center in support of Senator Hutchison. She and I talked, we agreed to it, and now it's being built. I'm really happy about that. And also, I'm working with Dalton, Illinois, because she's asked me to find a place for her also in Dalton. So I'm really happy about that relationship that we built, and we have now a Resource Center. Hopefully, Cynthia was in, she was out of town last week, and she was in Atlanta. Then she was in, I forgot where she was in last week. She just got home Sunday, and she will start taking applications as soon as possible. For those that are interested in employment, please contact her. And I'll give you your email. We'll put that on the website for anyone that's interested. Okay, the next thing, the heat in the town, what was it? Thornton Town Center? Townhouses, rather. They were very, very misused. And thank you, Trustee Payton, what you guys are doing over there. But I got 15 calls. John was saying they're coming and coming and coming. They were overwhelming. They had no heat right before it got cold. I called Boston and talked to the management, and thank God they got their heat. The whole system was just totally destroyed from previous. So we're talking with them, and thank God they got their heat. Managers, I have one more report. We talked about that first quarter and the Open Meetings Act. So I would like to let you know that we're still busy. We're talking about development. I have a meeting with Economic Development, Mr. Lanier and I, this Friday. And it's looking good for University Park. And again, Metra, we've talked to Metra, and we told Metra, you must do something for that train station. It cannot look like that. We now have Cougars at Governor State University. We'll have people coming from all around. We must get an upgrade. We must do something better than they're doing. So they offered to have a meeting with us. So Mr. Lanier, I'll let you know as soon as possible. They said they'll let us know, and that's the end of my report. Committee and Commissioners report. Reports of other officers.
Excuse me, Mayor. I have a report. I just wanted to tag on to what you were saying about Metro, you and village manager. And if you would think about it, could you ask them if possible, if they could put some cameras over there?
At their station, Metro Station?
Metro Station.
Okay.
Also, the Cook County, Tom Dart, the Cook County Sheriff, Law Enforcement's Medal of Honor Award was held this evening. And Sergeant Murphy received the Medal of Valor, and Officer Jones and Officer Williams received the Meritorious Award from our University Park Police Department.
Any others?
Madam Mayor, members of the board, and the public. First, I want to announce that the Village of University Park and the concerned golfers of University Golf Course conducted a raffle over the past month or so, and that drawing, I guess it's called a turkey shoot, is that, yeah. Well, the drawing will be held on November 13th, tomorrow at 8 p.m.
As a result of that raffle, or in connection with that raffle, because the ticket sales went to purchase turkeys for families in University Park and I guess the surrounding area for Thanksgiving. But as a result of that, Faith Movers Church, in conjunction with the University, with the Village of University Park and the concerned golfers of University Golf Course, on Saturday, November 22nd, will have a Thanksgiving turkey giveaway where it's estimated that 400 turkeys will be given, while supplies last, will be given to families in this area. And the request is that there be just one turkey per household. But I think that was, I know Ms. Childress and Mr. Blockers sold those tickets and pushed those tickets, and everybody, they wanted to buy them like crazy, and they did a magnificent job. And for them to give away to collect enough to give away 400 turkeys is just phenomenal in my estimation. Also, we are now in the middle of, the village is in the middle of conducting a coat drive. No one needs to say anything about the need for that just after today. We're collecting coats for folks who can use them. I think there are barrels in Village Hall. There's a barrel in number 8 Town Center, which is the Department of Community Relations office. I think in this location, 90 Town Center, I believe at the golf course, and I'm not sure if there's one at Public Works, but I would imagine there is. If you have any coats, please drop them off anywhere, or call the Department of Community Relations and we'll come pick them up if we need to. That number is 708-235-0182. In addition to that, the Christmas tree lighting program is going to take place December 5th, that's right, right outside of here at approximately, I think, 6:30. So if you can stand the weather on that day, come out and celebrate our Christmas tree lighting. Also, the house lighting contest is hopefully in full swing now. We've developed full rules for that will be posted on the website. Keep in mind that your property or your home must be registered with the Department of Community Relations by December 10th. And we would encourage everybody to participate. It should be a fun kind of thing to do. With that, that's all I have.
Mr. Bill, in the past, is there going to be any serving? Because last year, Trustee Milton and Trustee Larry Brown and some of the people that was on the previous Special Events Committee, we served. Is there any plans to do any serving, or just we're going to hand out turkeys?
It's my understanding that there will not be any serving of turkeys. Now, I may be wrong on that. My department was not directly involved in that. I think the concept was that we could serve more families and more individuals if they passed out turkeys. More people could be fed at a more economic, on a more economic basis than just calling everybody to come in here and sit down and eat. So, but I don't believe there will be a meal served here unless someone knows something other than me.
As far as the coat drive, we started that in 2007, and that was very successful. Also with the Special Events Committee, we always bought. Gently, do you have a relationship with any of the stores, department stores, which we have?
Actually, to be blunt, no. Okay. If there are other trustees or employees or staff members of the village who do have such a relationship, I would greatly appreciate the help, including help from you, Mayor, to help us with that drive. Any help, if any resident has a relationship with stores or anyone who might have the generosity to give donations or coats to our needy families, we would be glad to receive any help from anybody from whatever source it might come.
Okay, the gently, they're gonna use gently please people, the gently used coats. If they need cleaning, because we had a lady that, Bobby Greer was wonderful. She headed that up with our Special Events Committee, and she had a relationship with the cleaners, and they did all the cleaning of them. They were no tattered. Then I personally bought hats and gloves, sets, and we had a place. What time are you going to distribute them? What's there?
The plan is to have the coats distributed on December 5th, the same day of the Christmas tree lighting, between 1 and 5:30 right here in 90 Councilman.
Okay, again, everyone, we have gently used overcoats, even sweatshirts. We even got boots from people or some shoes that were new. So anything of that nature that would keep the kids and people warm. Hats, gloves. I just bought new ones because I didn't know how people felt about the whole hats on their heads. So if you would like to contribute some hats and gloves or whatever, and scarves, it would be highly appreciated. Thank you very much.
Mr. Bill, I'm sorry, Mayor.
Trustee Brown.
I don't know how you guys are set with volunteers for that, for the coat drive for that evening. But if you know, I'm available if you need any help.
Hopefully we will need the help of just about everybody here, and as many volunteers as we can secure from the village.
Just let me know. That's fine.
Thank you very much, sir.
And one more thing, Mr. Bell, I don't know if you have them, Mr. Bud. We had some coat racks made purposely just for that, and they still have them. And you know if they put them in another building or something. There were. We got them.
They are.
You know where
Yes, ma'am. They're accepted.
So they're racks, so you can put them in order. So you put them in order, and we put them in baby size and all that. So.
Yeah, we will try to arrange it as best we can. And
well, I'll help you on that one.
Yeah, from past experience, Mr. Hunt's been excellent in terms of helping with anything like that. So.
Okay. Since I started, I'll continue to help. Thank you.
Excuse me, Mayor, just to echo on what Mr. Bell just said in regarding the turkey drive. If anybody is interested in volunteering, they have to be there at 8 a.m. because it officially will open the doors at 10. And any volunteers, you just indicate that you're a village of University Park and you want to participate. Because the people that are getting the turkeys will get a number and they're going through a different door. So if anybody does want to volunteer, make sure you're there at 8 a.m. on Saturday, November 22nd. Those mailers will go out. The church will be responsible for sending these mailers out. I had just got the flyer today. And I apologize, I didn't want to talk because I'm not feeling well and I don't want to give my colleagues over here.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Any others? Could I ask the gentleman? No. Cards at the door? I don't know. Cards. Any cards at the door? Mayor.
Mayor, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Mayor. Actually, it's at Faith Movers Church. It's taking place at Faith Movers Church. I'm sorry, Mr. Bell, you forgot to mention that. And the address is 425 Exchange Street.
Yes, I did forget that, sir.
Mayor, I'm sorry, if I may, Mayor and trustees. I just want to piggyback on Durham State University relationship, 5-year commitment with the membership with University Golf Club and Conference Center. It's not just with the golf team that has a membership at University Golf Club, but also the students, the faculty, staff will have a membership as well. So thanks very much to Mr. Lanier and Joe Rudez, Trustee Joe Rudez, excuse me, for the support and vision and helping me get this done in a short period of time. I know that Mayor has been pushing on this about 2 years ago with we call him Gov. But within the last month or so, we got this thing done in a matter of a couple of weeks. So thanks, Mr. Lanier and Trustee Lewis. Thank you very much.
It takes 2 years, but it was done. Any others?
Madam Mayor, this is the set part of the meeting where we listen to the general public, and it is a 30-minute section, and we ask that each individual limit their remarks to 3 minutes, and we ask that the comments not be protracted, repetitive, irrelevant, or abusive.
Okay, Ms. Gina Williams.
Good evening, Mayor, trustees, and residents of University Park. I just want to say, at the last board meeting, I was pretty upset because I, from experience, know that it takes a village to raise a child. So to see 4 of our trustees vote no to give it back to our children was quite upsetting to me. There was a rebate that we could have possibly had for the young broadcasters, and it was turned down. And in that same meeting, they turned around and voted yes to giving themselves a hefty raise, 25%. And I wasn't sure of the amount. I take excellent notes because I work with the Department of Labor, Teamsters, Union Rep. So when I got ready to check my notes versus the airing of the broadcast, it was like vamoose. It disappeared. Poof. That whole segment was gone. It went from talking about a post office to Larry saying something. I'm like, okay, what happened to payment and the remarks? I'm like, okay, who pulled a rabbit out their hat and made that disappear? So that was very upsetting to me. It's upsetting to see people say, child please to our children, but let's get it popping and go shopping with our new raise. I don't work like that. I've worked with Teamsters and unions where no one ever got a percent that high. I don't care if you didn't have one since 2006. You don't compensate it this way. So I think that that was awful, and I think it's time for the residents to get up, get involved, come to these meetings, because obviously you're not getting the whole picture at home. You need to come out, see what's going on, pay attention. Because I want to know who is really in it to win it for our village. Who has our back? Who has our children back? Are there trustees or are there trustees? Are there people that in it for personal gain, their own needs and greed? Or are there people here that really want to move this village forward and watch us prosper and do it together? I take my hat off to Peyton, the mayor, and I think it was Larry Brown, because they voted yes to our children and no to the raise. The mayor even said she would give her money back. That's commendable. So let's stop playing games. I said it once before, who's fooling who? Because you're not fooling me. I got discernment. I know what time it is. So let's get our acts together, people, and let's move forward. Because April 15th is coming. Those are my comments.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Mildred Morgan. I think I'd like to address the people of University Park. As I look at our board, I see the good, the bad, and the ugly. There are 4 goods that represent us well. And if you just go over on White Oak Lane, Pin Oak, you'll see what University Park used to look like. Lots of order. Our children are wonderful over there. They are clean cut, nice, and well-mannered. There's law and order over there. If you look at the other trustees, one keeps up with our money, how it's being spent. He's bringing businesses here. You have another one, which is the lawyer, Mr. Trustee Oscar Brown Jr., who advocates for us very well. And then you have Trustee Joseph Rudez, who is on the move, doing wonderful things in University Park, interviewing people, things that has never ever happened before here in University Park. Interviewing so that they can tell us how things go. Then you have the bad. There's two of them. You have one who sedates people with his empty words of his success, while also giving oral resumes at each of the meetings, trying to convince you how well qualified he is, when all along, because he did try to apply for Mr. Lanier's job as village manager, failed miserably. Wants that job. That's why he was so irate and angry, because he sees now for another 18 months he could never ever get it. Then you look at another trustee, which is the bad, who lays up under the radar. Very quiet, but we see him. Then you have the ugly. Need I say more? Need I say more? This person, how do you divulge what the village manager's evaluation is? How do you do that in a public setting? That is private information that you ought not do. We, the people in University Park, we've got to do just as this lady said. We've got to come out, be a more part of the village, to look and see. When you look at these people.
Ms. Morgan, your time.
Okay, thank you so very much. University Park, just know that trouble don't last always.
Ms. Deborah Strauss, please.
And keep hope alive.
Good evening, Mayor, all present, all viewing. First off, I attended the Veteran Service Program yesterday. Once again, job well done. It was enjoyed by everybody in attendance, I do believe. Wanted to say, I'm sorry Ms. Childers just left. Did want to tell her thank you from the Senior Citizens Committee for the letter that she did send to us for the donations that we had supplied. Also, just wanted to bring to everyone's attention, today at our Senior Citizens Committee, we did have an impromptu, very informative session on Ebola. Thank you, Trustee Griffin, for attending. Thank you, Trustee Brown, for attending. The Senior Citizens Committee, we will always continue. We're on a hiatus now until next year. We've ended our 2014 season. But we're always continuing to get as many 55 and over seniors in this community to join this committee. We do make attempts to have different types of presentations available to be informative, not just to seniors, but to anyone who is more than available on 2 o'clock, the second Wednesday of the month at University Park Library. So as we ended our season, I made sure that I would let them know that our committee wishes everybody happy, safe holidays, travel mercies. Don't eat a lot, and if there are recipes that you need figured out, give me a call. I'll see what I can do for you. I'll do my best. I'll do my best. But thank you all. Okay, have a good evening.
You too, thank you. Laverne Williams. Laverne Williams.
Good evening, Mayor, Board of Trustees, staff, residents, and others that are viewing. I'm going to have a couple of questions. And again, my disclaimer is the questions that I ask are not to make anyone upset, not to disturb anybody, but these are just questions as an individual of myself that I have. I'd like an answer, please. The first one is, has the board decided what capital improvements will be placed on the list for the new head tax that is for the industrial park. I think the board stated that they would provide that to the community at a later date, and I was wondering, is today the day? Number 2, will the public get an opportunity to review the report from the consultant regarding the golf course prior to the board's workshop, so that the public will be prepared and be able to ask some solid questions at such workshop? Number 3, what did you mean, Mayor? There were a couple, in your report, there were a couple things that I, if you don't mind, give a little more clarity on about the online bidding. I don't know what that means. Is that something that we should do, and how's that making us, or causing us to lose money? The appointments of the Attorney General, is that something that we need to vote on, or did that happen at the past election? And then the $4 million in January, is that for the road construction, or is that given to the village so we can do our capital improvement? The 5th question is, have we asked other churches? Other churches normally help the community out by giving out food. And I heard today that there's going to be a turkey giveaway. I know First Baptist and the church across the way also do things for Thanksgiving. Is there a collaborative, that's the word, collaboration between all the churches, or is this just the golf course and the one church? And then the last question about the Metro train station. All communities along that line receive revenue for the parking. University Park is the only community that does not receive revenue. What Metro has been doing is giving us equipment, i.e. old snow removal truck or shovels, or I'm not for sure exactly what, so I want to take that back because I really don't know what they've been giving us. I really don't want to say that, so allow me to take that back, everybody. But if when you do meet with Metro, if you could see if we can receive revenue like the other communities that are along that line, so we can expand and help pay for the police service, the snow removal, or whatever else, maybe get a little coffee station or whatever, to help our community with such. Thank you. You all be blessed. Bye.
To answer some of your questions, I have some literature, Laverne. Be glad to let you see it on Metro. I'll give that to you after the meeting. Mr. Lanier might have that answer as far as the revenue, and Mr. Jones. When I talked about the online bidding, that's something that's a national concern that all the mayors nationally are talking about. They're talking about why would they want to do online betting versus pulling up, that would be taken away from the casinos and revenue and jobs. So that's something they're trying to incorporate to get away from paying taxes or money out to different villages or towns or states and cities. So that's just a global discussion, which will be discussed at the National League of Cities and with the mayors. Also, the appointment with General, they were just discussing that that's someone that President Obama is trying to put on board before the Senate House. They meet, everything comes together with the Senate. So they're trying to get their bid in. I was just giving you a report of the things that I do and participate in.
Okay, so
it has nothing to do with us.
We need to call our senators to help support that?
No, that's just something that the mayors are discussing that the president has asked them to look into right now. As far as the $4 million, it's right here. You can see the report. I'll let you see that as well. That's another report that I give with the committee that I'm also on, South Suburban Mayor Manager's report. And it is here for $1 million, and that is various things such as the refacing and resurfacing. So I will make sure that you get that and put that on the website as well to everyone. Okay? And as far as the other, Mr. Lanier will let you know as far as Metro giving any income that will come to the village and not to me. If he can respond to that, I'm not sure.
Sure, I can. But what do you mean, the $4 million or the Metro giving away money?
Metro. If they were receiving,
the parking lots along the Metro line are owned by probably one of 3 entities. Some of them are privately owned, such as the one in University Park. Some are owned by the municipalities, such as the one in Park Forest, and some are owned by Metro. If an individual owns the lot, they actually collect the revenues for operating their business. What the villages do have the ability to do is ticket people who don't pay that, and the ticket revenues go to the village. Now, as far as Metro sharing their revenues for any lots that they own, I'm unaware of that, but they don't own any lots at University Park. It's one lot that's privately owned.
In regards to the head taxing project, there's one project that's been completed. We put a guardrails both up on Circuit Drive around the top lot, and there's also a guardrail that went up by Governor State University. There are 4 street projects that we'd like to see completed. Those are Greenbrier, Abbott, and Amherst, along with Pin Oak Lane. I haven't discussed this with anybody yet, but I would also like to add the demolition of our cityscape to the head tech projects list. It's something that's very important to the people of Fiesta Court and most White Oak Lane, and I will be fighting for it. However, this is the first I'm mentioning it, and I'm going to try and get that done. I'm going to try and set a goal for that one of 2017.
And Mrs. Williams, to answer about the...
I was waiting for that. We heard. Okay. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. And just in response to the churches, if I'm not mistaken, the manager's going to help all of the local churches. If I'm not mistaken, it's Pilgrim Church, First Baptist Church, and Miller Chapel, with some help out to feed the families during the holiday season. Yeah. And there's a collaborative effort with all the local churches.
We'll see that. And to piggyback on what you said, that was a discussion with the South Suburban Regional Mayors, Mr. Trustee Oscar Brown. There's an organization, as far as, and I brought that up about Cityscape, that we would not have to pay for, that could take that apart, brick by brick. So that's a discussion I'm bringing up to them, and we talked with them there about that. It's a program cost one. Okay, so let you know. Thank you. That's all of our public comments. Okay. Well, I do have one that someone would have said, but I know everyone knows Miss Irma Berry passed, our clerk, and I thought our clerk Jones would be here. She was a clerk for many years, and I would tremendously miss her. She used to call me every other weekend and tell me what she thought about the board meetings. And she was great. Her son, Roderick, called me, and the services will be this Friday. The wake, I think, is Thursday, 6 o'clock? 6 o'clock. And then the services will be 11 o'clock in Country Club Hills at AR Lee Funeral Services. So anyone that be interested in attending, please do so, or send the family your condolences or whatever. And we're going to miss her tremendously. And I was hoping that the clerk would be here so we can do a resolution. I'm sure she's preparing one for Friday, but we would like to put that on record. She was a friend for so many people in this town for so many years. Okay. Discussion agenda, unfinished business. There's none. And being said, we move on to new business. New business, the first, second, and third reading ordinance regarding a lease between the Village of University Park and Austin People's Action Center for Town Center number 6. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Rudez, second by Trustee Griffin. Any questions, any concerns? Yes, sir.
Maybe Angela in there, can I ask, I just did a calculation, and I'm just wondering how you came up with the rent, because it's about $7.06 a square foot, and normally something like that would be around $10 a square foot.
I think some part of the rent depends on how popular the space is in the area. In this case, we took the prior tenant's rent, because the space has been vacant for so long, and we tried to make it affordable to that tenant for their program.
Okay. Now, I noticed also as part of the lease that they will pay their pro rata share of the taxes, and in most commercial leasing, you also pay a certain portion of what they refer to as CAM, which is common area maintenance. So I was wondering if that had been established yet, what their share of the taxes would be. It's in the lease.
We wouldn't have it until the assessor actually assessed it. If in fact they assess tax on that property because it's owned by the municipality. So that question does arise. The assessor does impose a tax on property owned by the municipality, then they would be responsible for it.
Well, I know we pay taxes on it because Attorney Diamond was instrumental, and the attorney before him actually started working on it when we found out we were paying real estate taxes on the entire town center, and we really didn't need to pay it on the entire town center. And Attorney Diamond followed up and got our taxes adjusted so that they only reflected the commercial portion of the village.
I'm not certain if we were paying it on the entire town center. I think that the parts that were privately occupied, the tax was being imposed upon them when the entire town center could have been tax exempt.
Well, no, we actually were paying on the entire town center, and I think the reason may have been that when the town center tended to be occupied by companies that were producing income and paying rent, the village officials at that point might have come to the conclusion that it was worth taxing the property so that in fact the owners of the people who were the tenants would actually pay standard property taxes and the governments would get it. That hasn't been the case for a long time. The language in the lease is basically to deal with two situations. One, if for some strange reason the property became taxable. At the moment, we've gotten it to be completely tax exempt. And secondly, in the event that there is a tax issued by the county on the leasehold, which doesn't go to us, which goes to the tenant, that this lease makes it clear that in fact under those circumstances it would be the tenant's responsibility. We also put into the lease a provision that allows us to cancel it in the event that there would be development at the town center so that we wouldn't be prevented if we're able to go forward with that. But the provision in there is intended just to deal with either a change in the law or to make it clear that if there is a tax that is levied on the leasehold, then it's the tenant's responsibility. As a not-for-profit, they probably should be able to, in fact, convince the county not to either give them a tax. So it's really protective. But at the moment, the entire town center is exempt.
How much is the lease?
Well, let me ask you this question, Attorney Diamond, because I'm just, want to be clear that if the village is renting space for commercial purposes, and that space is deemed as tax exempt, because I thought, well, I had heard before that if.
No, let me explain. In Illinois, all property owned by a governmental body within its boundaries is not taxable. Absolutely clear. I don't know why the village chose to pay taxes for all those years. Again, I think it may have been that they thought that as long as the tenants were responsible for paying the taxes, that money could go to the citizens. But there was no obligation whatever. That property could have been exempted the moment that the village received ownership of it.
All right, on page 2 of the lease, subparagraph C, it says the landlord shall keep the foundation, roof, plumbing, electrical, heating, cooling, and ventilating systems and equipment, exterior walls, but not excluding all glass doors, windows, storefronts in good repair, except that the landlord shall not be required to make such repairs which become necessary or desirable by act of negligence of the tenant, its agent, servants, or employees. We had a situation last winter over here at PK's Catering where his heating system went out and his lease, he was waiting for the village to repair it. Once some research was done, it was found that it's the tenant's responsibility to repair the heating. Unfortunately, it turned out that the repairs were not as extensive as was originally thought of. So why is this different for this tenant or any other tenant than it was for PK's catering restaurant?
I don't know all the terms of PK's lease. It was drafted before my time. I do know that he was responsible for repairing a heating unit. I know the village takes some responsibility, the tenants take some responsibility, depends on what's negotiated.
Part of the answer may be that that was intended to be a very long-term lease, and this lease is a much shorter-term lease. So under those circumstances, often the landlord takes responsibility for replacing, not for the payment of utilities, but for a replacement. I think that probably would be the reason.
Okay.
Do we know how much the lease is?
The lease is $550 for 936 square feet. That's how, you calculate that it's $7 a square foot.
That's a good opportunity.
Okay.
Right. There seemed to be an indication already that there would be renovations, or have been renovations to that space a little earlier. Is that true? Or
No, that's correct. When the former tenant moved out, the village had not gone in to clean it up, to do general maintenance such as clean up the floors, or put down tile, or paint, or those sort of things, which we did do once we identified a new tenant. So we held off on making those, doing the maintenance until we actually had use for the space.
Okay, but we're not renovating it for the tenant specifically to accommodate whatever their operations are.
Well, what we've done is put down tile on the floor because the tile was in bad repair. We replaced broken ceiling tiles. We removed discarded equipment such as a safe and a couple other things, countertops. We painted the walls, and we put up a drywall partition where you had a metal wall hanging down, a metal rafter hanging down in the past. So things that had to do to make the space usable, we did do those things.
One final question here is, and it involves the fire or casualty paragraph, and it basically is on page 3, the second paragraph. It says, while such restoration, and it refers to if there's a problem like a fire, while such restoration is in progress and continuing until the 60th day after such restoration is complete, the tenant shall be entitled to a fair and appropriate abatement of the rent to be paid, such abatement to be based on the amount and value of the premises that remains usable by the tenant during the restoration period. Normally, it's still the tenant's responsibility, and that's normally covered by their insurance, so that if, places unusual are still liable for the rent, that their insurance would pay that. Why would the village want to take that responsibility and not, have them pay rent when they could be reimbursed by their insurance company?
Well, they wouldn't be reimbursed twice if we have evidence that they've been reimbursed by their insurance company. We would not reimburse them also. I believe this was just as saying is that we wouldn't charge them while the space was unusable. I believe this lease was modeled after our new leases model that was an attorney drafted based on the new health center.
Yeah, but that's not what it says here. If they get if their insurance reimburses them, then we would be reimbursed. They would have to pay rent. That's not what it says here.
Well, I think, obviously, there's all sorts of interpretations, but I think that if a landlord cannot furnish the location for someone to conduct business, that they should, in fact, get an abatement in their rent. And whether they receive business interruption that helps them to keep their business in operation, that doesn't pay the rent. So that isn't my interpretation. My interpretation is that if you rent space to someone and there's a casualty and they cannot use it, that in fact it is equitable for you to abate the rent. Now, it doesn't abate all the rent, so it was a partial abatement, but I think that's a fairly standard term. The insurance that you're talking about is typically business interruption. There isn't normally, my knowledge, a provision under which an insurance company will pay the rent for a tenant when in fact there is damage to the premises.
So essentially what you're saying, that if the tenant is in some way negligent, has a fire, for example, you know, in their premises and they damage it, then we will not charge them rent until they get it fixed. That's essentially what you're saying. And I don't think that's, you know, I personally don't think that's.
I'll look at that language again. I don't think that that's what I think that that this is a situation where the tenant is not responsible and where the tenant is not able to use the premises. But I'll take another look at it.
Okay. Just to let you know too, Ms. Williams will be bringing, the places, I wish we had took a before and after, because the places are in deplorable condition. The floors, the rugs, the carpeting was all soiled, ceilings, and Mr. Hunt and Park Public Works did a wonderful job in bringing it up to snuff, and that's been a pet peeve of mine for the longest. We shouldn't be renting out areas that are so bad and expecting people to pay for it and fix it up. That just doesn't make sense. So we did the basic, which is a beautiful thing. You wouldn't believe it's the same place. And then she's going to bring her own IT people. They're going to run their cable, their wiring, put their computers. So we just basically gave them a decent, clean hub for them to get this done. And again, this is IDOT that is going to bring jobs for the returning citizens. We want to call them not ex-cons, returning citizens. We have a WIC program there. We're going to have jobs for seniors and people from 16 to 24. So it's going to bring us a wealth of help the village finally to give us something that we've really been waiting on. So basically that's all. They're going to do all the real renovation and the things that they need, the wiring especially. So we don't have to pay for the wiring, which is a great thing. Any other questions? Thanks again, Mr. Harshman. Roll call.
Trustee Williams? Trustee Oscar Brown?
Aye.
Trustee Payne?
Aye.
Trustee Griffin?
Votes aye.
Trustee Rudez?
Votes aye.
Trustee Larry Brown?
Aye.
Mayor Covington?
Aye.
Madam Mayor, the ordinance number is 02014-53.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Board. Next, first, second, and third reading ordinance accepting the lowest bid for remodeling of 80 Town Center for a Technology Resource Center. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Rudez, second by Trustee Brown. Question?
Question.
Yes, sir.
I looking at this and I see that the bid for National Catastrophe Solutions. I did notice that there was no bid security, or if there was, it's not listed on here. And according to the ad that was taken out, these proposals supposed to be submitted with a bid of not less than 5%. But I don't show it. We don't show it on here that those individuals have submitted that bid.
You're correct, Trustee. In the bid package, there are certain requirements. One of them was the bid security. This particular company, while they paid closer attention to the specs, they did not provide the bid security at the time of the bid. They do understand that before the contract is awarded, they will need to implement that security before we move further on it. But just to keep the project moving, they were also the only company that kind of paid close enough attention to the specs to come within a reasonable estimated engineering range for the cost of the project. So just to keep it moving along, we certainly would not award it without appropriate securities. But
I appreciate their due diligence. However, I think we held everybody else to that standard. You know, and I mean, you know, these guys still did not submit the bid security. So you're saying that this is approved, that they're going to come up with 5% of the $198,986.
Before they award the project. This is just the first step for the board to approve a resolution to accept the bid. They do not have to accept any bid. They can reject all of the bids, or they can accept this as the lowest bid with these stipulations, and we can rebid it.
I truly appreciate the explanation, but the ad read, and it's specific, that those individuals must submit 5% of the bid when they bid. And I'm just saying that so that these other companies can't come back and, and even this Grayson Development, it has a check here in the box. It doesn't say if they submitted the 5%. No, I guess it does.
No, it does.
I guess it does. 12,000, whatever it is. And like I said, there's nothing with the individuals who came in with the lowest bid. And all I'm saying is, this should be done even board. And if we allow those individuals not to submit it and get them the bid, I just don't want, and maybe Attorney Diamond, could we be subjected to any backlash with this?
Well, I think that the motion should in fact waive that provision in the bid document. You could do that. Actually, probably what you're looking for at this point, before you sign the contract, is probably not them giving you 5%, but rather making sure that they give you a completion and performance bond so that the work is done. Because at this point, the 5% normally would be given back when the completion and performance bond is given. So I think that the motion to act, if there is a motion to approve this, the motion should waive the provision relating to the filing of security, but should require a completion and performance bond before the contract is signed.
And I just want to read, just take a moment and read this portion in this advertisement for construction bids. It's like the fourth paragraph down. It reads, proposals must be submitted on the forms provided. All proposals or bids offered must be accompanied by a bid bond in a form acceptable to the village board. Cashier's check or certified checks made payable to the village of University Park in the amount of not less than 5% of the total amount of the proposal, as a guarantee that if the proposal is accepted, a contract shall be entered into and the performance of the contract is properly secured. So you just said what I read. There's a performance, the bid, the money is so that they perform according to what they're bidding on, right?
Well, yes, but the key to a contract in terms of actually once it's signed is that there is a performance and completion bond that guarantees that the work is done and that subcontractors are paid. The purpose of the cash deposit is if somebody in effect gives a low bid and then walks away from it. So if this contractor agrees to sign the contract and provides a bid bond, then the village is protected. Under the law, if any other contractor wanted to object, they would have to file an immediate lawsuit. So there isn't any continuing way in which a contractor 6 months from now can say, I should have gotten that. This obviously is, it should have been required, and I think that the motion, if the board wishes to proceed in this way, the motion to approve the ordinance should indicate that the posting of the security is waived, but that the bid bond must be presented before the contract is entered into. The only way that the village would end up with a problem is if the contractor wanted to walk away from the contract.
Well, shouldn't that be in the, shouldn't we put that in here? That we waive the bid,
Yes, I'm suggesting that a proper motion, based on the facts that you have brought to us, is that the motion should be to approve this contract subject to a waiver of the deposit, but that the contract would not be entered into without a completion and performance bond, which would guarantee that the work would be done. And again, the board has the ability, if it wished to not go forward with this bid and to take one of the other bids, but you also have, as a home rule community, especially as a home rule community, if you choose to do it, is the ability to in fact waive that 5% amount. And again, this should not be done on a regular basis, but if you want to move forward with this, that would be the way to do it.
I have a question. Just for the public's knowledge, in case you question, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bids. One total 392,500, one 483,793, another one 348,960, and the one that Mr. Trustee Larry Brown's speaking to is 198,000. The other one is 337,671. Another one is 349,943. The other one is 371,500. All of these, and this bid, ironically, the one that Trustee Larry Brown's referring to, is 198,000, almost $200,000 less than everyone else. My concerns is, where's the letter from the architect? There's no letter here from the architectural. There is no check that the bid security was here. There are no, and as the lady said, who's fooling who? This is missing a lot of holes. And if the architect who did this was J.M. Architects, where is their letter? Because if they would go with this, they should have submitted a letter. And also, I'd like to know the recommendations of the contract award. Where does it state that this is not the case in here? I wrote some more notes again. The other ones, the documents did not contain a regular scheduled letter, no acknowledgement. If it's a contract awarded on this basis, this bid, I recommend the village should not really stipulate, they should stipulate some insurance policies. So this, all of them are nice, but I don't see a recommendation for any of these companies. And this one particularly has a hole in it. And why would they bid so much lower than everyone else? So, like I said, they are not in compliance. According to the article that was written, they're not in compliance. According to what's supposed to be done, they're not in compliance. Trustee Milton Page.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. First of all, Mr. Diamond, I think it's totally inappropriate for us to bastardize proper bidding procedure to favor one vendor. Part of the reason why our village is in the financial quagmire that it's in right now is because that's exactly the type of thing that we've done historically in violating our own basic standards and procedures for doing things, particularly in the financial area. I mean, the golf course study was a clear indication of that lack of standard operating procedures, lack of reports, and so forth. So, I just think it's just, if we're going to move into a new direction, as has been indicated by, some of the trustees here that are running for re-election, then, we need to start now. And this is, in my opinion, totally inappropriate. I do have some other questions. Let me just follow up first regarding because I ran my numbers a little differently. The mayor gave you an indication of how far things are off let me put it in a different perspective here. If you take the next lowest bidder, which was Pangreer Corporation, the National Catastrophe bid, their bid was $337,671. That's the next lowest one. National Catastrophe, maybe that name is appropriate, is $198,986, or $138,865 lower than Pangreer, or 41%. Now, my grandmama used to say, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. You know, there's something here that it ain't passing the smell test. So I also went and I said, well, let's take a look at the average bids for the other vendors that bid on this project. The average bid of the other vendors was $380,727.83. Again, National Catastrophe, their bid was $198,986, or $181,741.83 lower than the average of the other bids, or 47.7% lower than the other bids. That's something wrong. Now, not only is the 5% not there, but I noticed also, and I need clarification on what this Alt-2 operate wall part and Alt-3 cert wall tile wainscot are those alternate plans? Because I noticed that they didn't provide any estimation where everybody else provided an estimation of what those costs would be. What does that mean?
Part of the architecture drawing showed a movable wall, two types of movable walls that they could bid on as alternatives. They weren't required to.
Okay, but you know, when you open a bid, did GMA Architects review this?
GMA Architects actually presided over the bid opening, reviewing of all the bids and reviewing all the bid responses.
Okay.
What was their, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What was their feel on this? What was their opinion? I see there's no letter supporting it.
They did not make a recommendation. They simply pardon?
Why didn't they make a recommendation if they were
I don't believe that's their role.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is. If you don't have people that are qualified to do it, and that's why you hired them to start off with. It's just like Robinson Engineering when we submit bids. You know, they go through and make sure that whoever the bidders are complying with the requirements of the bid.
They actually did this in conjunction with Robinson Engineering and the clerk's office. They opened up the bids to make sure that all of the documents were actually submitted and they were all received on time and opened on time. I think they were more concerned with overseeing that the bids were submitted properly, that there were no advanced bids, and that the documents were in fact included in the bids. And what the dollar amounts.
Well, I mean, you know, what's the purpose of that? You know, you have a project.
To prevent bid rigging.
Say what?
That job was to prevent bid rigging. In other words, to prevent bid rigging, so that all of the bids that the village accepts are actually true bids.
Right, exactly. And if the bid does not comply with the standards by all the people who submitted, they are normally tossed out.
It's not tossed out, it's documented as you see here. It's documented, so nobody can...
I'm talking in terms of a general process.
So if someone cannot come back and say that my bid wasn't considered, but they're documenting exactly what was there.
Right, excuse me, right now. You're absolutely right. That's documented what their bid was. It was reviewed by these people, GMA. And GMA does this. And then when they make the recommendation, they're supposed to make a recommendation of a letter. They look at every bid, they review them to make sure they have all the components that happens that's supposed to be in there. And if they do not have these components, they cannot recommend them. And then along with whichever one you choose, that's the one that they're going to support a letter with. And that's why I'm failing to see this is the one that was highly recommended. Why wasn't there a letter from GMA?
Well, we're saying there was no recommendation from JMA.
Because
I don't believe their role was part of recommending who we should accept.
No, I'm sorry to interrupt you. No, you're missing the point here. I'm saying if they did not, why didn't they make a recommendation then? If they're the ones that are reviewing the bids and they making sure that all the checks and points were there, why didn't they say this is a good bid?
They reviewed the bid for completeness of documents turned in, that they were all submitted at the same, within the time required.
And so this one wasn't complete.
Not to compare them back to the actual architectural drawings, which all of the bidders have.
No.
So they don't make a recommendation on individual companies'
They
work.
reviewed the bid to make sure everything is there in place. It was not in place. There's some holes in this, Mr. Lanier.
And so they document what is not there, which is why you don't see the 5% bond. They don't recommend.
I have a question. I'm sorry. I have a question.
I'm sorry, but we still talk. I'm sorry.
Right. I mean, I have to agree with the mayor. This really, in my opinion, doesn't pass the smell test with me. You know, their bid was so much lower than anyone else, and any time that I've been involved with something like that, there were major problems later on. You know, but you know, if you define their roles as simply sitting there as a caretaker to make sure that the documents were there, but not to have them do the important stuff of reviewing exactly what was in each bid, because they prepared the bid package, I'm sure. So if anyone knew what should have been returned, it would have been our architects.
Right.
That's what we paid them. Now it's been a total, since we started this whole process, $42,000. So as a minimum, they could spend a little bit more time to make sure that we're not going to run into problems by a contractor that we may select that does not meet the specifications. I think that's wrong. And then to try to manipulate it by changing the criteria where everybody else complied with it is wrong also. Now let me ask you this question. Were there any University Park contractors included as part of the bidding? Because I looked at the addresses on all of the contractors here, and I didn't see any from University Park.
Which means nobody from University Park submitted a bid.
Well, were they notified?
Yes, they were notified. It was a newspaper notification, which contractors are, they're looking for work review. It was in their general publication where they look for work.
So if we want to use University Park contractors and University Park and hire University Park community members, I think we need to go a little further, don't you? Rather than putting it in the newspaper, and maybe give them a phone call or send them a letter or something, so that we can start, helping our own here in our own community, putting our dollars back in.
Sir, the one that you raising so much cane about is University Park.
Okay. You weren't recognized. I'm waiting for the manager to respond.
Well, I'm letting you know. The one that you're raising so much heck about is University Park.
It doesn't have the University Park address.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That person that you raising so much cane about is University Park.
129.
That's where his business is. That stay in University Park.
Well, maybe that's why we let it.
Whatever.
Sir, she didn't ask you though.
May I like to call the question?
I'll second that. There is no such thing as calling a question, and you can't call it unless you're recognized. All right, and you haven't been recognized. So stop being so rude. According to Robert's Rules of Order. And Trustee Griffin, you were the main person that wanted an ordinance passed for respecting other folks. So I would appreciate it if you would mind your own wishes and not interrupt me as rudely as you have. I think that's very unprofessional of you. Okay? Now, The other question I had, I know that there has been work done on...
There's a second to Trustee Griffin's motion to appeal the decision of the chair. I second that motion.
There was no decision by the chair. He wasn't recognized.
Yes, the decision of the chair is not to recognize the party and not to recognize the motion to call the question for a vote. So it is proper to make a motion to appeal the decision of the chair. Otherwise, no majority could ever get any action taken.
Attorney.
No, just a second. I've heard from you, but I'm being asked about a legal opinion. I'm giving it. The mayor has refused to consider a motion to call the question. That decision has been appealed and seconded. That it takes precedent. That should be the vote that should be taken.
Well, let me then elaborate. Let me elaborate on Robert's Rules of Order and interpretation. It is a fairly common misconception that after debate has continued for some time, if any member shouts out, question, or I call the question, debate must immediately cease and the chair must put the pending question to a vote. This is simply not the case. Any member who wishes to force an end to debate must first obtain the floor by being duly recognized to speak by the chair and must then move the previous question. Such a motion must be seconded and adopted by 2/3 vote or by unanimous consent. Well, it is not in order to interrupt. Please, sir. Please, sir. You know, I see why they terminated you. It is not the order to interrupt a speaker with cries
We
of
don't want to
question
hear
or...
from you when you make statements like that.
Sir.
I got an email that said he was terminated
Excuse me.
from the village
No,
manager.
but that's not what you do.
Officer, could you please take order?
It is not in order to interrupt a speaker with cries of question or call the question, and even if no one is speaking, it is still necessary to seek recognition. So,
Robert's Rules of Order cannot require a 2/3 vote in a situation like this. This is a situation in which, in my view, the mayor has an obligation, if there has been debate on the issue, if there's a motion to call the question, to in fact call the question. There's been a motion to appeal the decision of the chair. It's been seconded. That is, in my view, the motion.
Well, your view is wrong, and I see why they brought you on, and I see why they're asking you to leave. All right? No, you are the chair, Mayor. That's his recommendation. We don't have to agree with it.
And it's merely a recommendation.
So the question, I haven't finished because I haven't relinquished the floor yet. Work has started.
I am taking charge of the meeting.
Yeah. Work has started.
You know, excuse me for a second. Just excuse me for a minute. If you guys are so rude, you talk all over him. He's been talking. No one interrupts you when you're talking or when you blurt out. And I am going to let him speak and ask a question. We have something very, very important here on this agenda. And it's very important to these taxpayers to know what the heck is going on. They need to know it. They need to understand it. And if he has questions as an elected official, we are legislators and policymakers. And he has the right to understand what's being presented for him to vote on. Bottom line.
Mayor, may I finish? May I finish, Mayor? Thank you. Because, you know, we're moving in a new direction. I just want to make sure we're not going over a cliff. And I want to make sure we stay on the road here. So, you know, I like to understand totally what... He's out of order. He's out of order. I would like to understand exactly what I'm voting on and how it relates to things, okay? Now, Manager Lanier, I understand that work has started on the Technical Resource Center through some demolition and some other things that have been done. How much money has been spent year to date on that effort?
No, there's no questions about it now, Mayor. You have to follow the process.
This question does not relate to the motion that is before the floor.
There isn't.
And the clerk, in my view,
The motion
the
before
clerk should call the roll. If there's a decision, appeal the decision of the chair, and the clerk should call the roll.
Never call the roll.
Trustee Williams?
We'll still address it.
No, it's not to call the question.
It's to overrule.
No such thing as calling the question.
It's to overrule the decision of the chair to refuse to accept the motion to call the question.
People can't ask. They want clarity. Just keep us in the mud. I will do that. Clerk, you can now call the roll on whatever they want. It's ridiculous. Trying to find the truth on something being hid.
Trustee Williams?
Vote aye.
Just sit on that.
Trustee Oscar Brown?
Aye.
Trustee Payton?
Nay.
Trustee Griffin?
Vote aye.
Trustee Rudez?
Vote aye.
Trustee Larry Brown?
Box of rocks.
I have a question. Exactly what are we doing?
This is a motion to overrule the decision of the chair to refuse to allow for a motion to call the question. If the motion passes, then the mayor will be obligated to take a roll call on a motion to call the question. That is what is before you.
There is no such thing as a motion to call the question. According to Robert's Rules of Order, by which this body operates.
Vote no.
Votes no.
So no.
It needs to have 2/3 vote or unanimous consent.
It's not allowed under Illinois law. And the
It's
answer
not
is-
law, it's
the
Robert's
answer
Rules of Order.
I
This is how we
understand.
proceed.
Yeah. Mayor, what you have to do at this point is to recognize the motion to call the question. If that motion passes, then in fact the debate is ended and there will be a motion on the ordinance. So the motion is to call the question.
Motion to call the question? Yeah. My question is, may I ask a question? My question is, why is it that we cannot get clarification? What's the problem? Why would you call a question on clarification of a subject that you have to vote on? What's being hidden here? What's the big deal?
Mayor, may I respond to that?
That's the question I have.
Mayor, this is a point at which the clerk is to call the roll on the motion to call the question. This is not debatable at this point. That is
so
in fact
political.
what the action is to take.
They're called question.
Mayor, point of order. May I review this again with you and the attorney, since we are governed by Robert's Rules of Order, newly revised, because I went and researched this. And again, must debate on a motion stop immediately as soon as any member calls the question. It is a fairly common misconception that after debate has continued for some time, if any member shouts out question or I call the question, the debate must immediately cease and the chair must put the pending question to a vote. This is simply not the case. Any member who wishes to force an end to debate must first obtain the floor by being duly recognized to speak by the chair, and must then move the previous question. Such a motion must be seconded and then adopted by a 2/3 vote or by unanimous consent. It is not in order. It is not in order to interrupt a speaker with cries of question or call a question, which they did. And even if no one is speaking, it is still necessary to seek recognition. So you just can't call, first of all, he wants us to.
Are you making an argument, or are you willing to?
You haven't been recognized. And please, as a matter of courtesy, as a professional, a man who is known statewide, if you would allow me.
You are a parliamentary tyrant.
Thank you.
That is what you are doing. And I am going to furnish you
Not with that, because that provision is contrary to Illinois law. The one
care
thing,
about Illinois law.
I know you don't care
We
about
are governing. We are governing the operation of this meeting by Robert's Rules
No, you're
of
governed
Order.
by Illinois law, not by your view of Robert's Rules of Order. And the problem is, under those rules, the mayor would never have to, in fact, would only be able to allow persons that had her view to speak. What's happening now is perfectly proper. I'm going to share with you Diamond's Rules of Order, which I've spent 25 years in preparing, which deals with some of these questions, because Robert's Rules of Order do not actually comply with Illinois law. In this situation, there needs to be a vote at the moment to do something that you're not talking about, which is an action by the board to overrule a decision by the mayor. And that takes precedent, and that will in fact be what will take place. This debate has gone on for a long period of time, and if the board wishes to take a vote, any evidence will show that you have had more than adequate time to raise every possible lawful issue. So I would suggest that the clerk call the roll on the motion to override the decision of the chair. All right, then the next thing is with regard to the motion to call the question.
Don't let the overseer take over, trustee.
Yeah, you see, from January 13th to October 14th, that's why we paid him, or he's billed us $678,933. Okay?
To deal with men like people like you.
Right.
To deal with people like you.
Excuse me. You know what? This is what I wanted. I wanted an assurance that we'll get our 5%. $9,949.30. That's what I need you to tell me. That's what I want. I'm not talking, excuse me. I'm not talking about waiving. I thought about it. I'm not talking about waiving anything. I'm talking about these individuals living up to the bid responsibility once this is passed. I want the $9,949.30 by tomorrow or Friday. Before they step foot in our town.
They say they live here.
That's what I want. Since they did not submit it with the bid, that's what I want.
And the motion would do that, because what happens is...
Mr. Downs, I'm with you. I'm with you. Okay. This is my question that was not answered. That's all I want. My $9,949.30. It's 5% of $198,986.
Which would not be adequate to approve this contract. Because then we could be stuck with $9,938.
Then why are we dealing with these individuals? Because it's not adequate. Why is it brought before us? That's my next question.
It's brought before you for a resolution to accept the lowest bid. If you accept the lowest bid, they will be required to provide a performance bond, which would in fact provide adequate money to complete the project should they do not.
Are they prepared to do that?
They could not receive the contract without a performance bond.
So the question is, my question is, yes or no, are they prepared to do that? To provide a performance bond?
If the board accepted them as the lowest bidder, then we would go back and negotiate a contract which would include a performance bond. If they cannot provide a performance bond, we cannot award them the contract.
So why didn't we do all this before this was brought to us?
We do not ask for the performance bond prior to negotiating the contract.
All right. I'm going to say this again. Before this came to us, this is crap. Before this came to us, it should have been approved by the architect. Yes, I'm going to say that because it has holes in it, and I've talked to professional architects, and they're saying a letter should have been included. If this was the best one, a letter should have been included to approve them. And as you say, I don't know whose friend this is, but this is not recommended, a contract award, and it was stated by these architects. It was also, they cannot indicate the bid national, whatever catastrophe solution. The bid documents did not contain the required scheduled letter. It was not acknowledged. And it was not awarded this bid. If a contract is not awarded the bid. So this is, we can award it. Why are we even dealing with this? This wasn't even approved by them. I don't know if the audience understand what's going on up here besides bickering and arguing. This thing it has too many holes in it. That's why nothing was checked by it, and I'll be glad to show it to all of them after this meeting. There were 0. Everyone else complied. Not no after fact, not no talk about this later. No. No prices, no bonds, no nothing, and we're gonna give this away? This is a baby, this election, this paid the place. It's ridiculous. All over the place.
Manager, how long does it take for these individuals
Quiet right now. Can we just stop it right now? Can we just stop talking?
Tell me to shut up.
You know what?
My wife don't tell me to shut up.
Thank you, God, I'm not that. Mr. Brown, Trustee Brown, how are you? You got the wrong would you please order this woman? Okay?
Mr. Lanier.
Yes, sir.
How long is it going to take to negotiate
You don't have anything to give me, sir.
a performance?
That's a threat. You say you got something to give me. That you got something to give me? Yeah. Watch yourself. Yeah. My husband's right out there.
I'm not worried about him. More to you or anybody else.
God bless you in the name of Jesus. Go on. Go ahead and say what you have to say, sir.
I appreciate you.
I don't appreciate what you're doing. I'm disrespectful.
Look, please, Mr. Griffin, Trustee Griffin, please.
No, I know, please.
Don't do that, please.
You don't talk to me like
Come
that.
on,
It
sir.
doesn't matter, you're the man, okay? Do not do that.
Please.
No, you're gonna say something to me and you're not gonna say anything to her? This is ridiculous.
He's been in my ear all week.
Trustee.
What you talking about?
Trustee.
I asked a question.
Trustee.
So this ain't even
Trustee.
safe.
Trustee. Larry Brown, please.
Do this correctly.
Trustee Larry Brown.
Manager Lanier, how long is it going to be?
I can't set a time frame on how long the negotiations will take. If the board pass a resolution to accept the bid, we will begin contract negotiations, which will require a performance bond. Normally, these contracts are pretty standard boilerplate contracts, which will come back to you for 3 readings. It would include the engineering, the architecture firm, the construction firm. They would all get involved in it prior to us presenting the contract saying, please award them the work.
Could I suggest that if the motion gave a period of time, let's say 14 days, for the completion performance bond to be filed, that would deal with this issue?
That's fine. I think it would be more appropriate to follow
There's
what.
no more negotiations. It's not a negotiation situation. This is the price. The question is whether this company is competent to produce an adequate completion and performance bond, which I would suggest would be reviewed by the municipality's architect, just to make sure that in fact it is a proper bond. But if the motion was to in fact approve this ordinance, subject to the low bidder, subject to the waiving of the initial payment of security, and requiring the low bidder to in fact provide an adequate completion and performance bond approved by the architect within 14 days after the action of this board, that would probably resolve the issue.
Mayor, Mr. Diamond, you know, you're a pretty good attorney, so I've been told. And I think what you're saying is easily addressed by what this board said that it wanted to do was to hold 3 readings unless it was absolutely necessary. Now this particular ordinance is scheduled for 3 readings tonight. I think it would be appropriate to downgrade the number of readings to just make it the first readings. That would give a couple of weeks to Manager Lanier to seek and redress the concerns that have been brought forth today.
Madam Mayor, may I be recognized?
Thank you, Trustee. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Oscar. Trustee Oscar.
I just have one question. First, have we had a roll call on the call question yet?
No, we can redo that now.
All right.
It's not on
My,
question.
my second question is, if we pass the motion to call the question without the a motion in regards to waiving the 5% bid requirement and requiring that I believe a completion bond is what it was called, performance completion bond within 14 days. Can we still amend the main motion to do that after we've taken a roll call to call the question?
Yes.
Okay.
The first one does the same thing.
Then I would like to go ahead and let's get the roll call started. We've had a 30-minute debate on this where you pointed out every fault or accused us of being corrupt and paid to play and all these other things. I believe that we should now go ahead and have a roll call, take the advice of a very learned attorney and waive the process such as we said, and amend the main motion to include a completion insurance bond, I do believe it's called.
14 days.
And within 14, performance and completion bond within 14 days. And then move this process forward because, you know, we could go watch TV if we want to be entertained. We're here to take care of business.
Supposedly, that's what he was trying to do. Okay, roll call.
Trustee Williams?
Yes.
Trustee Oscar Brown?
Aye.
Trustee Payne?
Nay.
Trustee Griffin?
Votes aye.
Trustee Rudaz?
Votes aye.
Trustee Larry Brown?
This is for to
call the question.
The motion is on the table.
It's not
Votes aye.
It's to overrule the mayor, it's not to call the question.
Okay, now the motion with the amendment.
Excuse me, can she finish the roll call?
Gary just answered.
One more first? I'm sorry, I didn't get trustee.
Who's aye?
Brown. Mayor Covington?
Nay.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to waive the 5% bid process and to require
performance completion.
performance and completion bond within 14 days.
Second.
Roll call.
Mayor, I would like to make a motion to table this.
Trustee Williams?
No.
You have to make a motion.
Table after the roll is
Are we doing the roll call?
Yes.
There was a question.
A question after the motion? or-
No,
I make a motion to table
You
it.
can't make that.
Takes precedence.
We need to complete the motion.
Well, if the roll call hadn't started, and a motion to table, then a motion to, all right, then a motion to table, that motion would be proper if it's seconded.
There's a second?
No second, you should go forward with the motion.
No second? Hearing none, roll call.
Trustee Williams?
Oh.
Trustee Oscar Brown?
Aye.
Trustee Payton?
Nay.
Trustee Griffin?
Votes aye.
Trustee Rudaz?
Votes aye.
Trustee Larry Brown?
Votes aye.
Mayor Covington?
Nay. Okay.
You're on to the next item.
Just before it goes, I have, this is something here, I have a question, Did we ever get a business plan on this resource center? Is there a business plan on the resource center? No report, okay, no business plan, don't know what you're doing, okay. First, second reading, and third reading ordinance amending chapter 285 of the code ordinance entitled University Park Senior Citizens Committee. Is there a motion?
Second.
Moved by trustee Griffin, second by trustee Rudez. Question?
Question, Madam Mayor.
Yes, sir.
You didn't wait for the ordinance.
The ordinance number is 02014-5.
Repeat that, please, I'm sorry. What'd you say?
It's 02014-5.
Thank you. Again, this is our second, third reading. Ordinance amending chapter 285 of the code ordinance entitled University Park Senior Citizens Committee. Is there a motion? Moved by trustee Griffin. Second by trustee Rudez. Is there a question? Okay, the purpose of this is to let you know, is to move They want from 7, is it 7 committee people? Senior Citizens Committee, is she still here? Okay, they're moving to 7 committee people, is that? Their terms? Oh, you didn't do this one. Who put this one together, Mr. Lanier? You did. Apparently, I wasn't even aware of it.
Did not draft ordinances, Mayor?
Pardon me?
No, I did not draft the ordinance.
And the attorney didn't draft the ordinance?
I believe Clerk Jones did.
Okay. All right, it's just so senior citizens are preceptors. Okay. Is there a roll call?
Trustee Williams? Trustee Oscar Brown?
Aye.
Trustee Payton?
Aye.
Trustee Griffin?
Votes aye.
Trustee Rudash?
Votes aye.
Trustee Larry Brown?
Votes aye.
Mayor Covington?
Motion to accept the treasurer's report. There, I'm sorry.
The ordinance number is 02014-55.
Okay. Motion to accept the treasurer's report.
So moved.
Second, I didn't recall. Motion, I'm sorry, I did say motion. Moved by trustee Rudash, second by trustee Oscar Brown. Question?
I have a question.
Oh, how did that fall? Okay, we'll go with you first, trustee Larry Brown. And then trustee Oscar, trustee Milton.
Is there ever going to be a day when we'll be able to put this in a better way? This is crazy. This makes you crazy looking at it. We can't put this in a linear form.
This is for the
alphabetical linear form. This is all bumped and jumbled. It take, you know what? It makes you. It hurts your eyes trying to read it.
Well, this is the way we filed it, trustee. I can look into that, but this is the way it's filed.
I mean, you got the linear set up here. It's columnized. Why can't it be done like that? Be done like this?
This is the general format that's submitted to all cities and states because it's published in newspapers and it would take up too much space and be too expensive for one thing. But this is the accepted format for this report.
We've had this ever since I've been on the board. I'm just asking.
You'll see it's statewide published in this very same form.
I'm asking, is there a better way for this to be readable? That's what I'm asking. Other than this.
I don't think so.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what. As long if I'm here, if I stay here, it's gonna be done better than this. It's gonna be done better than this. Is crazy.
The purpose is what we put in the newspaper. This is what everybody does according to the village manager. But what I'm saying is we can get disbursements. You can get a list of disbursements any kind of way you want to. But for the people who are going to read this is the only way they can probably put it together. I mean, you can always request from us a list of disbursements if that's what you want.
Okay. Is that it,
Yes, yes.
trustee Oscar Brown, please.
Yes. Anybody know what Mr. Dilworth's opinions are about the treasurer's report?
He doesn't.
It's Mr. Dilworth's responsibility to prepare the treasurer's report, as you all know, but he's yet to prepare one, and he hasn't reviewed it. We've notified him in adequate time to remind him that the report was due. When we didn't get a response, we had to ask staff to put it together.
My knowledge, I thought they always, payroll always did it. I thought the finance director always put it together. I know it's his report, but I thought they always put it together since they have the actual numbers. Okay, he just reviews it.
I sent the treasurer all the details put together the report.
Okay. Trustee Milton, Page.
Yeah, I've just got a few questions. The beginning fund balance of equity for the debt service for the 1998 and the 2002 bonds is negative. Can you help me out why that's negative like that?
Those balances have not been adjusted for audit. They have not been adjusted for audit adjustments. When I started, I took the balances at the end of the year and we made those beginning balances. Those balances did not include any audit adjustments from previous years, so that's why they're negative.
They are, there's proof there's an outline of the report, but those ballots should not be negative. Right.
They should not be negative,
They should not.
but they're showing negative.
Right. So the same thing with this $1,607,000 for road and bridge, it was a negative start, and then the ending balance of equities of $1,700,000, a negative $1,700,000.
That's because the adjustments have not been posted to those numbers.
Okay. Am I interpreting this properly also? I'm taking a look at the golf course, because I know that the budget that was put together for the golf course essentially was a balanced budget. And this report before I thought, was a fiscal year report, but I see based upon the paragraph above that it is our fiscal year report, not a calendar year report. Okay, all right. So when I'm looking at the revenues transfers in at $941,354, and the expenditures going out was $1,540,762. So am I correct in interpreting this that says that the golf course lost $599,408?
That's correct, but those are unaudited numbers.
Unaudited numbers. You expect that the audit numbers will change
I don't
significantly?
expect to change significantly.
Okay, all right. So the other two funds, and I guess I'll wait till we get the audits, but the IMRF fund and the Social Security fund of $854,000, these negative balances starting and ending as a minus $854,000 for the Social Security fund and a minus $253,808. So is that the same issue?
Same issue.
Okay, so they just need to be.
There's no entries being put in, there's no debits or credits going through there during the year. We just need the audit adjustment posted.
Okay. The balances, how do they correlate with our cash position, or is that not really related to that? Because some of this is actually not cash, it's equity.
Right, it's not really cash.
Okay.
It can be equity. Not officially
I had requested last meeting the revenues and expenditures for homeward disposal by trash removal, and I didn't receive them, but I pulled off some numbers out of.
On average, for the last couple of years, it's about 342,000, somewhere like that, the revenue numbers.
Right, but it's the disbursements also what we paid them.
That's
to see what the losses were. Well, based upon the numbers that are in here that I pulled off, well, let me just ask this question, make sure I'm on the right track here. This disposal service under revenues, if the second to the third line here says where it says disposal service $360,505.27. Is that the same as the Homewood disposal, which is on page 5 of 11 under disbursements? On the first and second line, it says Homewood disposal service $302,332.98.
It should be the same. It should be exactly the same.
Why would it's not?
Well, the only thing I thought about when you said it says 360 here, when I looked at it, I thought a little different number, but there might be an adjustment posted, but it should be the same. It should be the same vendor, Homewood disposal.
Right, and that's why I had the question. So should that be changed then? Should that say Homewood disposal as opposed to just disposal service?
I can look into that. I can look into it. Just make sure there's more than one. There's no more than one company in there.
Okay, because they've been our disposal service for a couple, 3 years now, right?
Then it should probably be Homewood disposal.
All right. Thank you.
My question, I understand what Trustee Brown said, it is kind of running on, shall I say, trying to follow it, because if someone saw it, they might get confused on what is what pages are what fees are who and how much they're getting. But again, I would also like to see if they're looking at the revenues opposed to disbursements, can we get a copy? I know we do pay the disposal. Do we have can we get a copy where we're delinquent, how many, what are we collecting actually for garbage disposal versus, I know we have to pay the payment, but I really wish we could convert that back and let Star Disposal pick up their own, because we're hurting. When people are not paying the garbage bill, we suffer for that. And we need to know how many people where they're delinquent in. How much are we actually collecting on this garbage disposal? Are we getting our money back? It's not balancing, it should be a wash. So we need a copy of that as soon as possible. Okay, anything else, anyone else? Roll call.
Trustee Williams. Trustee Oscar Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Payton.
Aye.
Trustee Griffin. Trustee Rudez.
Votes aye to accept the treasurer's report.
Trustee Larry Brown.
Aye.
Mayor Covington.
Aye. Bills payable. Attached for your approval is a listing of the general operating expenses of the Village of University Park and the following is a grand total of everyday expenses for the last 2 weeks for the October 29th, 2014 to November 11th, 2014. General operation funds, $158,450.58. MB Financial Special Fund, $6,205.00. Road and Bridge, $2,375.17. Town Center, $1,703.40. Golf course, $16,630.86. Motor fuel tax, $12,493.79. Tip 2, $15,518.80. A total of $213,377.60.
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Mary Brown, second. Second by
Trustee Joe Rudez.
Trustee Rudez. Any questions? Roll call.
Trustee Williams. Trustee Oscar Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Payton.
Votes aye to pay the bills.
Trustee Griffin.
Votes aye.
Trustee Rudez.
Votes aye.
Trustee Larry Brown.
Votes aye.
Mayor Covington.
Board of Trustees comments. Trustee Williams. Sorry.
No comments.
Thank you, Trustee Oscar Brown.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to thank everybody for attending the viewing. I'd like to take this moment to offer my condolences to the Berry family. I am deeply saddened for your loss and deeply honored that you would ask me what I was asked today. And I will be there, and I'll be more than happy to serve in that capacity. Those are my comments.
Trustee Milton Payne.
Thank you, Mayor. I too would like to offer my condolences to Ms. Berry. She was a clerk here for many, many years, and we will miss that kind of dedication that she provided during her term here. Needless to say, I am disturbed at the kinds of things that you see that have been happening here with the board. I'm particularly disturbed that our last board meeting, where this board, at least 4 members of this board, saw fit to increase their compensation when people in this community have the highest tax rate in Will County. That discussion was miraculously left out the board meeting that was broadcast. So I hope that we will be able to find that, because that is, for our attorney, a violation of the Open Meetings Act, that once we start something, it's got to be shown in its entirety. Okay. Well, I'm also disturbed at the fact that we are, and I don't want to ascribe any political reasons to it, although I have my suspicions. But we are bum rushing through some very important legislation using 3 readings all of a sudden, so that the public does not have the proper opportunity to comment or to provide their input to this board. And, you know, the ordinance, the last meeting, to increase the compensation for the elected officials was a 3 reading issue. It should have been 1 reading, then the next board meeting, a 2nd reading, and then a 3rd one. It was rushed through because unfortunately, if we went through that process, it wouldn't have been within a time frame that is required by law for the people who get elected next April the 7th to receive that compensation. So I think that's a tragedy. Another one is today simply the wrong direction as far as I'm concerned. I understand the efforts with this Technical Resource Center. Didn't even have a chance to finish asking my questions related to it, since part of what we should be doing is assessing the priorities and the total cost of things. We didn't have a chance to find out what the total cost was. I'm sure come next year, and, you know, and some of the other questions I had was, you know, how much have we spent on that so far? And when we add this in, was, you know, this money in, was, you know, was it budgeted? You know.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely right.
Yeah. So so, you know, I'm concerned about it, and I know it's a priority for Trustee Oscar Brown Jr., who, you know, and Trustee Rudez, who see fit to make snide comments, you know, while I'm speaking, even though I don't interrupt them when they're making their comments. You know, I know they've worked hard on it, and I have no problem. You done?
Are you?
No.
Then keep talking.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Right. You see, part of the problem with this particular democracy is they want to make it a dictatorship so that dissidence is not heard, and that information that you need to have as a community is not presented for your consideration. So I have no qualms with the goals and objectives of the Technical Resource Center, which is to try to create some jobs. My issue is, what is it costing you, the taxpayers? Trustee Griffin is famous for saying, you know, I'm going to spend your money like it's my money. Well, you know, I want to know what the cost of this is and what the benefits are going to be. You heard Mayor Covington ask for a business plan. That's pretty typical. We haven't seen a budget on it. How it's going to be staffed? What grants do you anticipate? You know, and you heard, maybe you didn't hear the snide remarks that they made about the children's health club. See, I would like to see us do something from a priority basis to help our kids. It's one thing to do things for people who will benefit from that center, who don't even live here in University Park. It's another thing to help our children become better people by engaging in programs that will help to develop them physically, mentally, and spiritually. So this Technical Resource Center, you know, when we've already spent $42,000 just on architectural fees. That was enough probably to complete the Kids Health Club, right? The first time that was bid out, they spent $30,000 in architectural fees. The bid came back at $430,000. So they went and they asked them to revise it, and they spent another $12,000 on architectural fees. And then they came and spent another $4,000 to tweak it. So now everybody comes in, an average of $370-some-thousand. We get one company that comes in at $198,000, and I'm saying to myself, well, something's the matter here. We don't have our architect to evaluate each one of the bids, to make certain that it meets the standards for the bid. We have an attorney here that wants to modify the procedure after the fact to accommodate this particular low bidder on this property, who didn't even supply all of the meet all of the requirements of the bid itself. And we rushed it through in 3 readings, so we know that it's been approved. We could have reduced this to 1 reading and waited 2 weeks, and then take another look at it. We could have had our architects to examine things a little bit more closely also. So needless to say, I'm going to be following that very closely. But I am really disappointed in the decorum of this board, including our attorney, who is not an elected official, who should not be talking over us, and he should be respected, particularly with his excellent reputation that he has throughout the state. So I'm real disappointed. And I hear this from almost all the community members that I talk to. And it's sad. But I am not going to back down in providing you what I feel is the best information possible. I'm going to continue to ask the questions when I feel the questions need to be asked. Now, Trustee Rudez made a comment about me not objecting to the 3 readings for the Senior Citizens Committee change. Minor change. They requested it. They understand, you know, what their process is in terms of having voting members and not voting members. So I don't have a problem with something minor like that. And we said that if there was something that was an emergency, then we would go to 3 readings. And that's why it's structured as it is, so that there could be input provided between the readings, more research that may need to be done, more input that may need to be gathered. So I hope that you will share this with all of your friends and neighbors and family, and let them know if you want a village that's going to be a model village, then you need to step up to the plate and do what you need to do to make certain that the village has the right leaders and moving in the right direction. That's all my comments, Mayor.
Thank you, Trustee Griffin. Trustee Griffin.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, I want to say I apologize. I don't like to get upset, but you know what? It's a constant thing with this leadership. It's a constant thing. First I was dumb, I was stupid on this, and then she says things here tonight. So I apologize. Then she threatened me with her husband. I'm not scared of your husband, I'm not scared of you, I'm not scared of nobody. You and he and nobody else puts no fear in my heart. Believe me, I got plenty of that. I want to say to Mr. Diamond, thank you for your services. I appreciate you. And it just goes to show you how the meetings go when Trustee Payton is here. Much longer protracted. Have an attorney explaining you what the rules are. He still violates them day in and day out. He doesn't want to hear anything because he knows everything. Can't tell Payton nothing. He knows everything. Attorney's explaining you everything. It says it right here. That doesn't mean that. But to him, it still is. And he is a bully. He's a bully up here on this board. He likes to bully you on this board. He gets to talk, and can nobody else talk. He talks all during the meeting. And you wonder why the meetings are 3 and 4 hours. 2 meetings ago, when he wasn't here, what was it, an hour and 50 minutes? Look at the tape. He's not an attorney, but he thinks he's one. On the matter of the golf course, I hope the board adopts the finding of that group that we brought in. I really do. They have some good changes that need to be done. I really wanted to close the golf course. I'm serious. I've been asking that for ever since I've been up here on the board. Since we entered into an agreement with Governor State, we can't do that now. So we have to find a way to make it work now. We have Governor State and their home, their golf home is University Park Golf Course, so we can't close it now. On a matter of the Open Meetings Act, that he said that Peyton said that we violated the Open Meetings Act. Everything we did was on tape. Now, if something happened to that tape at the station, then it happened to that tape. We didn't violate anything. And things happen to tapes because Christelle had a meeting or had a thing on the cable station where they were talking about something and had a program with Senator Hutchinson on there. They didn't have no sound on it. So things happen. But it wasn't no violation of no Open Meetings Act. So you can go on with that. I'd like to thank the Two Seaters Golf Club Foundation for donating $500 to the turkey shoot. And I appreciate that. And I think the whole village at University Park appreciate that. Thank you, Paul Taylor, Two Seaters, we appreciate it. Thank you so much. Miss Berry, I'm sorry about the family. Her son called me early yesterday morning and we talked. Because I would always call her for Christmas and Mother's Day and New Year's. I called her for Mother's Day, but I won't get a chance to talk to her for Christmas or New Year's this year. But I told him I would be a pallbearer. He also asked me for the other trustee's name. I gave him Oscar Brown, Trustee Rudez, and Trustee Larry Brown's name. So I want to keep that family in our prayers, and no matter what they say, we're going to move this village forward. There is no quid quo. My understanding in bids, you go with the lowest bidder. I happen to know this gentleman because I see his trucks all over town. He has I think a Chicago address, but he stays in town. He put in the lowest bid. I mean, I don't see a problem. He's a University Park resident. What's the problem? If he can't do it, we move on to somebody else. Period. If the gentleman can't do the job, can't get the bond, we move on to somebody else. It's that simple. On one hand, you cry about this, and then you cry about this. So you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Is it a University Park resident? Yes. I don't know how they do the bid. He put in the lowest bid. And you're crying about that. Make up your mind. I wish everybody a blessed weekend and a blessed holiday. So, those are my comments. Trustee?
Thank you, Trustee Griffin. Great comments. I want to just address some of the issues that were spoke of at the last board meeting. I think one of the trustees mentioned about the village being in such bad shape, and we had 200 homes under foreclosure or whatever. But you know, sometimes we don't look at all the positive things that happen in our community. The village has no control over people having upside down mortgages. But the good thing is, what we should be speaking of, since the month of August 13, 2014 through November 12, 2014, there have been 37 homes purchased and put back on the tax rolls. So people are getting, the economy is moving, people are starting to buy homes, some of them are investors. And those are only the ones who have tax transfer stamps. There are other properties that may be exempt from taxes, so those were not included in the 37 homes that were put back on the tax rolls. So I encourage you guys to stay positive and believe in something. Believe in the future, plant the seeds. And you know, let's not always portray our community as a picture of gloom and doom, and some people are gonna come and be the heroes. Let's continue to move forward, make wise decisions. Progressive priorities for people is what our village needs to realize and move forward. The decisions are difficult and sometimes they're hard, but when you believe in something and when you're doing it for the betterment of our community and the future, because we're not just University Park anymore. People have to understand that we're not just a small little bedroom community of University Park. This is now a regional attraction. What we do in University Park not just affects our residents, but it affects the region. So we want to have great relationships with the region. Opportunities for jobs, employment are coming day by day by day by day. Let no one tell you about gloom and doom. Let's talk about hope and prosperity. And every resident who wants a job in this community should have an opportunity to have employment. We want lower taxes. We're working on retail development. That's how we get those things in. The school board, the highest taxing body on our tax bill, that's something that we all have to collectively work on. Aqua Water, we'll continue to work with those guys until we can come up with a resolution. Right now, the plans are to tap into the Kankakee River and bring water into University Park with softeners. Those are good things that are happening. We met with people last week about development on possible Cicero Avenue. We got a new trucking company that's knocking back on the door that's willing to locate on their 20 acres in our industrial park. We've got restaurants knocking on the doggone door. So forget the gloom and doom, people. There's hope and prosperity, and the things that you're looking for in your community, they're fastly approaching us. The university is blooming, and we're going to be doing a lot of joint projects together. And the signing for the golf team would be the golf team of our golf course. What I put in the athletic director's area was something that I think that we're all looking forward to. We have a multitude of land between the two entities, the university and the village. And if we can collaborate on making a multi-purpose facility where they can have their world-class athletes and our youth and our residents can utilize that, and it won't tax the residents and it won't tax the university, those are projects that we need to work jointly on together and continue to move our community forward. And finally, happy Thanksgiving to everyone, and think about the families who don't have enough to eat or might be in a little despair. Just look out for someone who's a little less fortunate than us. Thanks, God bless our community. Everyone have a very happy Thanksgiving.
Trustee Larry Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. Trustee Ruiz. Good evening, everyone. I just want to speak about Irma Berry. When I moved out here in '87, she was the clerk of this town. And as I came up here, she used to be a fixture in Village Hall. Just speaking with her, she was very, she was intimate as far as she was attentive and soft-spoken, but you knew that she was the clerk. She was always a person with a smile, and I've never had her known that she could not say a kind word about somebody. If she didn't like you, that's just how it was. You didn't know she didn't like you. So tonight I just, my heart and my prayers go to her and her family, especially her son Roderick. Roderick and I, we played sports together. Been knowing him as long as I've been living out here. And like I said, I just spoke with him this morning. And we spoke for a little while on the phone. And like I said, hopefully I get a chance to say some more to him. Because, you know, I've been there, I've done that, and I think we all need to support him from this point forward, because he will need it. You know, we talked about a lot of things up here tonight. There's some heated conversation, and I think that the same effort that we're putting into this resource center, we should have that same effort towards our Children's Health Center. All of it helps the residents, not part of it, not half of it. Everything that we do, the resource center is going to help our residents, so will our health, that health center. And I think we should probably definitely put as much energy into that as we do, especially if we put the energy into how we get heated here in the other projects. I think we would be batting 1,000. So I, you know, just hopeful, you know, keep one foot in front of the other. This is the season of giving. I want to thank each and every person, those of you who are participating in Thanksgiving, the turkey giveaway, Mr. Blockham's, you and the two-seaters, I want to thank you, all those volunteers. This is the season of giving, but giving should not just be once a year. It should be every day of your life. If you can give, give. If you can give, because it does come back to you. Those are my comments, and good night.
Thank you. I also like to give my condolences out to the Berry family. Roderick did call me Friday. This has been a real alarming weekend for me. A friend of mine, you never know which way you're going to go and what's going to happen to you. A dear friend of mine for 30 years was at work, and she came to work for a production problem. And she was such an intimate person. She was just so into everyone, and she dropped dead right then and there. So sometimes you don't know when you walk out of this door what's going to happen to you, so it pays to be kind anyway and forgive those that despitefully use you or accuse you or persecute you. Those people does not matter. What matters is what God feels about you, not people. I'm glad to see South Suburban Mayor and managers. You know, it was a time that University Park was not even recognized. But if you look here, we are now listed University Park. Used to never have that before. And I'm happy to say that we are being recognized, as Director Ruiz said, over and over again, more than ever before. University Park is growing globally, as he said as well. And it was so, I felt like the President of the United States going into a treaty when Dr. Naaman and I sat and signed that agreement. That was a proud day for University Park. And she asked that I continue, and I will continue in every area that I go into, nationally, locally, promote University Park and Governor State University as a college town. And I'm very, very thankful for the relationships that I've put together with different elected officials. It's real rewarding when I can go and tell them what we need and they know all about University Park. And everybody is not negative about University Park. It's just some things just have to be done. You love your children, but you still have to discipline. Everything's not going to always be a rosy thing to do. But when we think things are not right or we have questions about it, we're policymakers and legislators, and I'll say that again and again. And that's what we should be about. If things are not right, you hold us accountable for that. No one else. And that's what we're supposed to do. If we can't get a clear understanding, then that's a problem. That's problematic here. So, and I did say that, and I'll say it again, everyone else requires so much. What are we going to do? We're getting ready to do another golf course. That's a good thing for us. But the resource center, we have no business plan. We don't know what we're going to do, the operating costs, how it's going to help us, what we're going to do with it. Now, one time it said it was going to be something for, again, Prairie State has those facilities to do truck driving, forklifting, but now we're going to do this. And then they said it's going to be offices. Maybe it's going to be offices for people that don't have an office. Maybe they're going to use it personally. We don't know. And I would like to know who's going to be the teachers, what's going to be done, how they're going to do it, because a lot of people in Industrial Park, which I've investigated and found out, they do training. So what is the plan? Again, we're sending this week, next week we're sending 8 people from University Park to National League of Cities. I don't understand why we have to send so many people when we have deficit in our checking account. I'm embarrassed when I go places that they're telling us checks are bouncing. So we're sending 8 people. But people question when I go to one trip, why are we taking 8 people? I would like to know when we're going to question that and what they're doing. And then another thing that really bothered me yesterday, we did have, this weekend, I apologize to our veterans, each and every one of the veterans. When we had the Special Events Committee, these people were dedicated and loved it, and what they did and how we did it. There was no guest speaker, there was no agenda, there was no program, there were no gifts, there was no cake, there was nothing but some food for them. There was no certificates. So maybe it was just because they didn't know what they were doing, or they took it away from so many people. We had ideas that did so much for our veterans. We had a veteran that just came back from the war, and we gave her some fried chicken and pancakes, sausage. We did not recognize her. We didn't give trophies away. We didn't give awards away. That's deplorable. That's deplorable. I can't see that. Last time we had something, we had a guest speaker from Washington, D.C. I had that from when I went to Congressional Black Caucus, brought back speakers. I had another speaker, Mr. Childs, that was the head of the Tuskegee Airmen. We had gun salutes. We had a wall put up. We had the band there. We had cakes for them. That's how you treat someone that shed their blood. And this is the day that I am about celebrating my daughter's death. Again, this is a day that I am supporting every veteran and my daughter's death day. That's not how we treat veterans. And I hope next year we do better. I'll be willing to help, but we do need to do that. We need to do much better than we did. And as far as this bid, when we go to the point that we can look at something and there's a big discrepancy, almost a $200,000 difference, and there are holes in it, we ask questions about it, it's not approved by the architect, there's no letter, what else are we supposed to do? That's our job, to make sure. People, you need to get up and wake up. Our people need to wake up in this village and see what the heck is going on. This is not right. It's a lot of things that's just being pushed through. We're dominated up here. Do what we want to do, how they want to do it, and that's okay. But in the end, someone's going to be accountable. Let the redeemed of the Lord say so. This does not make sense. I'm just really, really disappointed. We've gotten away from the right thing to do in this village. A lot of us up here, Mr. Payton and myself, Mr. Brown, I was on committees with them 17 years. This is not anything new, and no, we do not need a raise. We can't pay our bills. But this is, again, this is a volunteer position with a stipend. You need that much money, you need a job. That's bottom line. We are having, a lot of homes are vacant because of the taxes. People aren't paying their garbage bills. People aren't paying what they're supposed to be out here, but they're always up here ratting and raving. Do what you're supposed to do. And I wish all of you a nice evening, be happy. And I know you don't know this lady, her name is Chris Johnson, but I still ask that people would keep her in their prayers and her family, for her soul, and for the people that she left behind. I ask this time that we adjourn and go into executive session. Purpose of this executive session for personnel. I'm sorry, let me correct that. Executive session, litigation, pending litigation against effective or on behalf of the public body and personnel, appointment, employee, and compensation, discipline, dismissal, or employee review of the closed session.
And the board will adjourn at the end of the closed session without returning to open session. There should be a roll call vote.
Roll call. Roll call. I'm sorry. Mr. Trustee Williams left.
Trustee Payton.
Aye.
Trustee aye. Trustee Rudas?
Votes aye.
Trustee Larry Brown?
Votes aye.
Mayor Covington?
Votes aye.